Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Silver Savage podcast. BK here again. And first of all, I want to start by thanking everybody that listened and commented on the last podcast about fitness and health. Um, I appreciate it. It's one of our most listened to podcast episodes to date, and I'm glad it resonated with so many of you. I also want to thank one of our listeners for forwarding me another article from I guess this is from the Mayo Clinic, and it talks about what men in the 40s should be concerned about. What should you worry about? And it tied directly because obviously health and fitness was one of the main concerns, right? The way the article states it is this being our 40s, is when we start paying for our sins of our youth in a sense, right? So if we did not take good care of our body, it's going to start manifesting itself, anything from chronic back pains to blood pressure issues, diabetes. So your lifestyle up to this point certainly dictates your quality of life today. Not to say that it's too late. Obviously, like we discussed last week, plenty of things you can do to change it. So just start taking ownership of your diet, of your nutrition, your supplementation, and obviously your exercise. And many of these things can be reversed, and there's still hope at the end of the tunnel. So certainly take advantage of the time now and don't postpone or prolong it anymore. But this article actually went into some other topics which I thought was interesting, and I figured I'd share some of them with you, and would love to get your insight and comments. And actually, if you guys can comment or direct message me after you hear this and tell me what are some of the things that you are concerned about now. So assuming you are a Silver Savage, you are in your 40s, maybe a little bit younger or a little bit older, but typically in our phase of life. And what are some things that you are concerned about? For example, one thing that is not on the list that I am personally concerned about is financial independence, right? So not just the providing to my family on the here and now, but also long term, right? When can I retire? What will I do when I retire? What would be the quality of life when I retire, right? So that is a concern of mine. And for those that have similar concerns, I am currently working to get my financial advisor to be on our podcast and share some strategies that hopefully would help all of you. But in the meantime, I wanted to go down this list and kind of share some of my thoughts with you and see if any of this helps you at all. So it starts actually with discussing mental health, and it's something that we discussed in length in this podcast between Steve and myself. And Steve shared a lot of his battles over the years, and I shared a couple weeks ago my personal understanding of where I am today in relation to trauma in the past. And I'll be honest, as a result of that podcast, I've actually been seeking adequate, I guess, a therapist that I can talk to, just an outsider that I can bounce ideas by and thoughts and take ownership of my own mental health. And as stresses of life don't seem to go away, but actually increase. They change, right? The war that we fight today is different than the war we fought 20 years ago, but it's a war nonetheless, and we need to develop the tools, and a lot of them come down to mental fortitude, just being able to manage the day-to-day stressors. So certainly if it's something that you neglected over the years, this is where we start kind of tallying our wins and our losses, and we start oftentimes coming with a lot of regrets, a lot of maybe guilt or shame of things we have done or things we have not done, and having someone that can help us navigate that, put it in perspective, help us concentrate on all the good stuff we have done. So I've been actually fortunate by one of the people that mentored me to start reading a book called The Gap and the Gain. And it talks about how people that live in the gap or live in the continuous thought process of what they did not accomplish. And it can be in a day, it can be in a month, it can be in a lifetime, right? So those would be the pessimistic people, right? How's their life quality much lower than those that live in the gains, those that are always looking at, this is what I did accomplish, right? And again, it can be in a day, in a month, or a lifetime. So to give you an example, I can look at today, just taking a very minor snippet, right? And today's a Sunday, so it's a weekend. I have my kids. I can look about all the wasted time that I did not sit down and play with them. I can look at work that I did not do or accomplish, right? Being an entrepreneur, work doesn't stop just because it's a weekend. I can look about missed opportunities to tell my wife how much I love her, or maybe I did not exercise enough or did not watch my diet. So I can look at all those gaps, right? And that would make me feel like, man, this day was a complete loss. Or I can look at it as a gain. I did get up when my alarm went off, so I did not sleep in to maximize as much of the day as I can. We're at about lunchtime, and I already did my workout. I've been watching my diet. I spent some time with my daughter, and she started driver's ed, so spent some time with her. Started working on redoing my deck. So there's certainly some wins already in this half a day already. So I have an option now or a choice, right? I can concentrate on the negative, all the stuff I did not accomplish, and that would make me feel really bad, right? Or I can concentrate on my accomplishments and say, man, I accomplished so much already. Can you imagine what else I can accomplish the rest of the day? And that's really the approach I've been taking recently in the last few weeks. Is when I, instead of doing to-do list or go over those and kind of checked, okay, what did I not accomplish? What is my on my to-do list that I did not do? I actually tally my gains. I tally, okay, I was able to do A, B, C, D. Not all days are going to be perfect. And sometimes I did not accomplish everything that I planned on accomplishing. But if I concentrate on the positive, not only is my mental attitude better, it allows me to get more creative. It allows me to plan better for the next day. And it allows me to enjoy what I've done already. The bottom line is, if there's always an ideal that we want to reach, the reality is we're never going to reach that ideal, right? That ideal is always further and further away. So as we accomplish things in life, our ideal gets pushed forward as well. And if we keep reaching for an ideal that is unreachable, we're always going to live in a state of depression, anxiety, and a sense of dissatisfaction. So certainly mental health is important, and certainly taking care or tally of all the stuff you accomplished to date. So I'm 48 years old, and if I needed to give you a little snippet, I moved here with nothing. I built a family, I created a business, multiple businesses. I live in a wonderful home, in a wonderful community. I love the vehicles I own, which I didn't own 20 years ago. So my 20 self looking at my 48-year self, there's a lot accomplished, right? Can I say, well, I don't live in a huge mansion, I don't own an island and a helicopter, and that would make me feel upset, but rather I'm looking at all the stuff I did accomplish, and I am very, very fortunate and blessed. And that's the way I choose to look at things these days. So take care of your mental health. Make sure that you keep track of all the gains that you've done. And instead of living in regret, concentrate on living in sense of accomplishment. So what else? Your relationships, right? So as we become a little bit older, did you invest in the right relationships or not? And obviously that has to do with colleagues and friends, but really what I'm talking right now is your intimate relationships. It's no secret that divorce is high. And really what I'm here to tell you, and not that you should take any marital advice from me, but so many people fear being part of that statistics that they stick to relationships that are not good for them. And being in your mid-40s, it's not, life ain't over yet. And have you concentrated on the right relationships? Do you feel fulfilled in your relationship? Is your significant other supporting you, or is she or he a hindrance or an obstacle on your way, right? Did you not accomplish goals because you were trying to appease someone else, or were they supportive and helping you and pushing you throughout the process? And I'm not saying that if your partner did not support you 100%, you should go ahead and get a divorce. What I'm saying is it's only time to take stock in what type of relationship you have and the stuff that needs to be changed in that relationship because it makes you unhappy or makes you feel unfulfilled. Deal with it. That may be couples counseling. That may be solidifying or pursuing a relationship that you were afraid to follow in the past. So if you are divorced, a widow, or maybe a single person that never got married, if fear stopped you from pursuing somebody, let it go and go for it. You have still a lot to give, and you have a lot accomplished, and now is the time to go ahead and do it. And as well, the same token, I always say, divorce is way too easy, and people kind of go for it a little too soon. But I also don't want to be a critic of anybody that divorces, and not because I have been divorced, but because I know for a fact that oftentimes there's just a point that there's no saving a relationship, and from that point on, it is just prolonging a miserable existence. And if you reach that point, then you should consider some options, including possibly breaking a relationship. And I know this thought may be unpopular with some, but I said what I said and deal with it. Are you pursuing your dream? It's halfway through your life in a sense. As a kid, you had a dream. Some of us were fortunate enough to pursue it. I am fortunate to love what I do. It is exactly what I wanted to do. It's actually a better twist on what I wanted to do. But if you find yourself in a grind and you're like, this is so far from what I envision myself doing, and it makes you unhappy, this is the time to go ahead and see if you can make your dream come true. And it doesn't have to be that you quit your job and you just say, to heck with it, I'm gonna do this, and no matter what happens. You can be smart about it. Start your dream as a hobby. Do it on your off times. Okay, so if you work a 9 to 5 type job, that's 8 hours out of your day. That leaves you 16 others, assuming you sleep between, let's say, 7 and 8. That leaves you 8 more hours to concentrate on building your dream, right? So start as a hobby, a side hustle, whatever you want to call it. See where it goes, but at least you'll know that you gave it a try. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And if it worked, how much happier would you be a year from now, 2 years from now, a decade from now, knowing that you actually pursued your dream and made it happen? So go ahead and give it a try. Are you doing something that matters? So halfway through your life, this is where you have to start also evaluating, have you done something for other people? Have you contributing to the community in any manner? Or were you an egocentric, selfish individual that it was all about yourself? Because at the end of the day, when our time comes, all people will remember is what you did for them. And again, using myself as an example and concentrating on the gains, right? God knows I had plenty of losses, but the amount of people that send me emails and texts and called me throughout the years to tell me that what I taught them kept them safe, that's the best thing that I could have hoped for, right? I may not be a millionaire doing what I'm doing, but I'm planning on being a millionaire, but I'm certainly take a lot of satisfaction in knowing that I am helping others in the process, and I know that it matters, and I know that these people will remember it. And it doesn't have to be because you teach self-defense or security expert, whatever your profession, medicine, financial advising, law, construction, whatever it is that you do you help other people? I do a lot of pro bono work. I work a lot with victims of domestic violence. I donate a lot of time and resources to training law enforcement and first responders, so I volunteer as a medic, as an EMT. So I know I am giving back and doing stuff that matters to others and to my community. Can you say the same about yourself? Are you the best version of yourself as a person? I'm going to get a little bit theological on this one. Again, I am not a person you should take any religious advice from, but I am one to give it to you anyways. So I grew up Jewish, very secular, as most of you know. I did spend about 10 years pursuing an Orthodox lifestyle because my ex-wife was Orthodox, and we made the choice to live that lifestyle and raise our kids in that manner. So I'm very versed in what that requires. And ever since we got divorced, there's some elements of it that I kept that resonated with me, some elements that did not. I find my own path. I'm happy with my own path. But this is the bottom line that I want to tell everybody. The bottom line is that if you... Hold on, I'm going to silence this phone. All right. The bottom line is that if you're a good person, right? So this is what I've been explained, what was explained to me. Sorry, really should work on my grammar more. when the day comes and I make it to the pearly gates and I am being judged by whoever it is that's there, and regardless of the religion you follow and the beliefs that you hold, right? That person may be Jesus, maybe Gabriel, maybe whoever else, Muhammad, whatever you guys believe in, right? Bottom line is, in the way it was explained to me and the way that I choose to believe it, I'm not going to be judged on whether or not I follow all of the commandments that are in the Bible or kept kosher dietary laws 100%. And mind you, that in my mind, a lot of these religious rules and laws were made by men whose interpretation may not have been as divine as some people may want to make it sound. And we cannot ignore the fact that there's a lot of money in religion, and that affected and muddied the water very often. And again, I'm not saying religion is bad. I think faith is a phenomenal, wonderful thing, and I certainly encourage you to find your path, whatever that path is. But when I make it to those pearly gates, I'm not going to be judged on whether I followed all of those laws that had to do between myself and the God I chose to believe in. The way I'm going to be judged is whether or not I was a good person to another human being. And to give you the easiest example that was taught to me, there are 10 commandments, right? The first four between man and God, right? The fifth one is kind of like a transitional one. That is the one where you shall respect your mother and thy father. Because some consider that to be between man and God, considering God is a parent to you. Others may say it's between men and men, literally talking about your mother and your father. But regardless, it's kind of like a transitional one, right? And the last five are between men and men. Those are the ones that say do not murder, do not steal, do not covet, that sort of stuff. So when I make it there, God is going to tell me, did you treat other human beings the right way? Did you observe the last of the five commandments? Those are the ones that matter. The first four and the fifth one, they matter. They're important, but they're whatever you make of it, and not necessarily what is going to determine whether or not I was a good human being. So, getting off my theological box, and again, I apologize if I ruffled any feathers there, but the bottom line is, have you done other human beings good deeds? Did you help people when they needed to? Were you not as much of an asshole where you should have been, right? Were you involved in charitable events? Did you donate your time or resources, whatever it is, right? But honestly, just being kind, right? Choose kindness. You hear that all the time, but how many of us do not do it, right? Kind of doing a full circle to living in the gap or the gain, right? Are you that pessimistic that sees the negative in every situation? Or can you see something positive in every event, right? Somebody cut you off at work, but maybe that, more force you to slow just a little bit, save you from an accident later down the road, right? Somebody stole from you at work, right? And maybe that forced you to be more creative and come up with better solutions for the future and actually propelled your business forward, right? So there is positive in everything. We learn from everything. And oftentimes we can make any situation into a win. So were you a kind enough person that when somebody flicks you off or that somebody yells at you, you choose to treat them with respect regardless? There's a saying that I teach often when I teach verbal de-escalation, and that is, I treat everybody like ladies and gentlemen, not because they are, but because I am. Don't get pulled down to their level, elevate them to yours, right? So choose kindness, be a good person to other human beings. And lastly is, are you investing in yourself? So you're in your mid-40s, are you investing in yourself in the sense of, again, your health, your well-being? Do you see the doctors? Do you feed your body when you're supposed to be feeding it, right? Do you invest in yourself financially? So did you put some money aside for retirement? Did you make sure that you got your salary? If you're an entrepreneur, did you pay yourself first, right? So it's not being selfish, it's being healthy. You cannot run a business if you don't pay yourself, and if you're stressed and in debt, that business is doomed to fail. So you certainly have to take care of yourself. So if the first few things I discussed are how to treat other people and what are you doing for the community, society, and how you can be a better human being, the last one is certainly taking care of yourself. So taking care of yourself mental health wise, physical health wise, financially, relationship, all of that. So when you walk away from this podcast, it wasn't a long one. Do yourself a favor. Take a little bit of time to kind of reflect on where are you now. Concentrate on the gains, not on the gaps. Where are you now? Where would you like to be 10, 20, 30 years from now? What kind of a person do you have to become in order to be there, right? So another statement I hear that resonated a lot is if you don't have the company you want to own, or if you don't have the family you want to necessarily have, it's probably because you have not become yet the person that should be running that company or having that family, right? So if you want to run a multi-million-dollar company, do you have the habits? Are you the person that can run that kind of company? Because if you're not running a multi-million-dollar company right now, it's most likely because you are not ready for it yet. You are not the person that needs to be there and do that yet. So take the time, invest in yourself, reflect on what you need to do. So 10, 20, 30 years from now, you are running the company you want to run, if that is your goal. You have the family you want to have, right? You accomplish the goals that you wanted to accomplish. It all starts with you. It starts and ends with you. So I hope you got something out of this episode. As always, I appreciate you guys listening, and I certainly appreciate all the comments that you guys been sharing. Been getting a lot more of those, so I do appreciate it. Please, please, please do us a favor and keep sharing this podcast with others you think can benefit. This is honestly how we're gonna grow this as a community, as a tribe. We're not charging anything for this. We're not taking any sponsors. This is straight out of labor love, taking time out of my day and week to make sure this is available for you. So if you guys see value in it, please do share it with others. Until next time, stay savage.